साइकोलॉजी एक्चुअली में है क्या? और साइकोलॉजी को अगर मुझे समझना होगा तो मुझे क्या करना होगा? व्हाई दे शुड चूज़ एंड व्हाई दे शुड रिजेक्ट साइकोलॉजी एज़ देयर करियर पाथ। देखा कि कुछ ऐसे भी ऑर्गनाइज़ेशंस हैं जो फर्स्ट 2 सेशंस या फर्स्ट 1 सेशन फ्री में प्रोवाइड करते हैं। हाय, नमस्ते एवरीवन। आज हम एक नई पॉडकास्ट प्लेलिस्ट वापस से चालू कर रहे होंगे। इस पॉडकास्ट प्लेलिस्ट का नाम है द वर्ल्ड ऑफ साइकोलॉजी। कुछ अलग है ये भी। सेम लाइक आवर नेम न्यूनेस्ट। आपसे आपका नया घर। आपने पहला एपिसोड ज़रूर देख लिया होगा हमारा क्रिप्टो पाठशाला, जो कि बेसिक से आपको क्रिप्टो के बारे में सीखने को मिल रहा होगा वहाँ पे। हमारे साथ तब गेस्ट थे राज कपूर सर, जहाँ पे हमने इन डेप्थ बात की है फर्स्ट एपिसोड में एवोल्यूशन ऑफ क्रिप्टो की। अभी हम बात कर रहे होंगे एकदम ही अलग टॉपिक है, वर्ल्ड ऑफ साइकोलॉजी। यहाँ पे हम बेसिक से स्टार्ट कर रहे होंगे साइकोलॉजी को समझना। साइकोलॉजी को हम इन डेप्थ समझ रहे होंगे, ग्रेजुअली स्टेप्स बाय स्टेप हमारे एपिसोड्स आ रहे होंगे, जहाँ पे हम कुछ ऐसे टॉपिक्स टच कर रहे होंगे जो हमारे पूरे इंडिया में उनको कई बार फोमो भी देखा जाता है, एज़ अ टैबू भी देखा जाता है। तो उसको उस मिसकंसेप्शन को निकालते हुए साइकोलॉजी को एक ग्रेजुअली एक सब्जेक्ट बनाते हुए और एज़ अ करियर फील्ड जो देखना चाहते होंगे, उन्हें भी इस फील्ड के इस पॉडकास्ट के थ्रू मदद हो सके। इस तरह से हमारा आइडिया या कन्वेंशनल आइडिया यू कुड से वो हमारे मूव्स रहे होंगे। तो बिना कोई टाइम वेस्ट करते शुरू करते हैं। सो काफ़ी ज़्यादा मैं साइकोलॉजी का रहा हूँ कि बाबा साइकोलॉजिस्ट जो है बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा चार्ज करते हैं। पीपल जो साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाते हैं वो क्रेज़ी है। मेडिकेशन लगता है और लाइक इट्स जस्ट वेस्ट ऑफ मनी, थेरेपी में कुछ नहीं रहता है और द मेन मिथ कि साइकोलॉजिस्ट को मन पढ़ना आता है। एंड और आप में से कई ओजी पीपल भी होंगे जो सब कुछ सब मिथ्स सुन चुके होंगे। तो यही सब मिथ्स क्लियर करने के लिए और एक क्लियर कट आइडिया देने के लिए साइकोलॉजी क्या है एक्चुअल में। तो आज हमारे साथ गेस्ट है रेचल वाज़ मैम, जो कि उन्होंने बैचलर्स और मास्टर्स अपना कंप्लीट किया साइकोलॉजी के अंदर और वो अभी एज़ अ प्रोफेशनल काम कर रही है इसी फील्ड के अंदर। तो मैम, आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम यू एंड आई वुड लाइक टू नो योरसेल्फ बेटर। सो आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज़ इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ।
Yes. So as you said, my name is Rachel और मैंने मास्टर्स क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी में कंप्लीट किया है. I've been in this field for a little over 4 years maybe. And I have worked with various organizations, various sectors of the field. तो educational field हुआ या फिर mentally challenged individuals, whether it is kids or adults, rehabilitation, addiction. So I worked in various fields, and we also do awareness campaigns and talk shows so that people are made more aware of what mental health really is and हमको क्यों बात करना चाहिए, why it is important to talk about all of these things and not just see it in movies and use it very loosely. So that is a short introduction of myself. I am very passionate about psychology, so if I start ranting, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But it is going to be very
I think
informative.
we are in the initial stages of podcast. This is my second podcast, so we would be making mistake and we would be improving ourselves as soon as possible and we would be improving shortly. सो मैम, आई वुड लाइक टू से एवरीवन कि ये पॉडकास्ट चालू करने के मेरे पास बहुत ज़्यादा स्पेशल रीजंस थे। साइकोलॉजी ये कंसेप्ट हम काफ़ी बार सुनते आ रहे हैं, नाम इनका काफ़ी बार सुना होगा, लेकिन हमें ग्रेजुअली आइडिया नहीं रहता है साइकोलॉजी आखिर है क्या। और जैसे मेंटल हेल्थ वगैरह आ रहा है सामने और कोरोना पीरियड के कारण इसका जो प्रेजेंस है वो और बढ़ता जा रहा है, लेकिन फिर भी कंट्री साइड में इसका उतना जो प्रेजेंस होना चाहिए या फिर साइकोलॉजी के बारे में जो इन्फॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल रहना चाहिए वो है नहीं। उस कारण से आई फ़ील कि देयर आर इम्प्रूवमेंट्स दैट आर नीडेड टू बी डन और इसे काफ़ी ज़्यादा ह्यूज स्केल में इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन को मदद मिल रहा होगा। तो मैम भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा एंथुसियास्ट है इस टॉपिक को एज़ अ टैबू या फिर एज़ अ फोमो से निकाल के इसे प्रैक्टिकलिटी लाइफ जो इंडियंस है वो अपनाए उस कारण से। तो आई वुड से कि मैम का वर्क मैंने लिंक्डइन पे देख के फिर मैंने मैम को कॉन्टैक्ट किया, तो मैम सेड मी यस इट वाज़ अ बिग थिंग एंड श्योरली वी वुड बी डूइंग फर्दर एज़ वेल, जहाँ पे और इन डेप्थ बात हो रही होगी। तो मेरा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन यही रहेगा जो सबके मन में आता है कि साइकोलॉजी एक्चुअली में है क्या? और साइकोलॉजी को अगर मुझे समझना होगा तो मुझे क्या करना होगा? कोई एग्ज़ाम्पल से प्लीज़।
Uh, Tanmay, बहुत simply to put it, very casually to put it, I would say psychology is just a very scientific study of अपना behavior, है ना. तो आपका जो behavior है और your mental processes जो हम observe भी कर सकते हैं those behaviors, or जो behaviors or mental processes that are inside us also that we cannot measure or that we cannot see. So psychology talks about all of those things depending on हम लोग अभी there is no set thing, even our brain, a healthy brain is not studied so much कि हम लोग सब कुछ देख पाए, है ना. Our brain is very fascinating. अगर healthy brain को हम लोग पूरी तरह से समझ नहीं पाए हैं, then things that go wrong and why it goes wrong, that is still a very big journey that we need to cover. So psychology basically talks about all of those things, why we think, act or feel a particular way. It can be our past, it can be the present, our environment, and it's a hybrid thing. हम लोग जैसे science के बारे में बात करते हैं, like biology, it's more of very natural sciences, and then we have social sciences. I think psychology is a very hybrid science where it talks about your natural being also and your environment also. So the interplay of both of those things. So how your body functions, your brain functions, and how your environment influences all of those things to finally result in a particular behavior. So that in very general terms is what psychology studies, and once we know why we behave a particular way, we can change some unhealthy habits, we can control some habits. So all of those changes and routines can be set depending on once we know why things happen.
ओके, कोई नॉन लिविंग थिंग का एग्जांपल लेके अगर मुझे समझना हो तो?
Okay, even when you see rock formations, है ना, वी यूजुअली जब रॉक फॉर्मेशंस देखते हैं हम लोग को स्कूल में सिखाया जाता है कि वो रॉक कैसे फॉर्म हुआ, राइट. सो इट विल बी द सेम वे वे यू लुक एट अ ह्यूमन. हम लोग किसी इंसान को देखते हैं और वी सी व्हाट प्रोसेसेस इट हैज़ गॉन थ्रू, क्या हुआ उसके लाइफ में जिसकी वजह से वो अभी जैसे है वैसे है. सो आई वुड
ओके.
एसोसिएट इट विद अ रॉक फॉर्मेशन बिकॉज अ रॉक गोज थ्रू अ वेरियस चेंजेस, है ना. It goes through various levels and then it is the way it is right now. So that journey is basically psychology.
Okay. If I would like to define it, it would be somewhere between study of behavioral changes for human. Am I
हाँ,
right?
across your lifespan, right? Yes.
ओके. एंड हम स्टडी कर रहे होंगे ह्यूमन बिहेवियर, लेकिन इसका बेनिफिट कब और कहाँ हमें देखने को मिलता है?
Uh, See, so हम लोग ह्यूमन बिहेवियर इन वेरी जनरल वे स्टडी करते हैं. वी स्टडी अ नेचुरल और अ हेल्दी ह्यूमन बीइंग एज वेल एंड पीपल हु हैव प्रॉब्लम्स एंड इश्यूज एज वेल. अभी हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हम लोग को स्टडी क्यों करना है, क्योंकि हम लोग को प्रॉब्लम होगा नहीं. ऑल ऑफ अस, एवरी ह्यूमन, यूजुअली हम लोग जब भी कुछ देखते हैं हम लोग को लगता है कि हमारे साथ नहीं होगा या हमारे अपनों के साथ नहीं होगा. So I think people need to realize that studying psychology is really important because eventually, maybe not you, maybe not your generation right now, but हमारे जो future generations हैं, you need to understand that this is a very big problem, है ना. And we don't realize that depression is one of the major. It is a first cause of ill health. It is not cancer, it is not anything else. Depression is the one that is diagnosed the most in the world. तो वो जो understanding है, that realization needs to come up कि studying all of these things maybe not for us, but it is important. क्योंकि अगर हम लोग ने कैंसर स्टडी नहीं किया होता तो अभी जो रिसेंटली जो दवाई उन्हें बनाई है वो नहीं होता. So it is important in that way where you study all of these things, whether it is healthy behavior or unhealthy behavior or abnormal behavior, so that eventually you find cures for it, you find reasons for it, you find there are a lot of disorders that जिनके reasons हमको अभी तक नहीं पता है why it happens. So once you understand that, you can find cures for it or you can find ways to stop its progression, है ना. अगर हमको वो सब पता होगा तभी हम लोग कुछ कर पाएंगे. तो studying psychology is important because of all of these things.
ओके. तो आपने जैसे बात किया ट्रीटमेंट के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है कि साइकोलॉजी की स्टडी हम करते हैं. तो ट्रीटमेंट से 2 क्वेश्चन आते हैं हमारे दिमाग में, या फिर जिससे थोड़ा बहुत बेसिक आइडिया हो. एक तो रहता है साइकोलॉजिस्ट जिसके पास आप जाते हो, और दूसरा रहता है साइकियाट्रिस्ट. तो इसमें डिफरेंस क्या होगा और कब किसके पास जाना प्रेफरेबल रहता है?
So psychologist हमारे so the major difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist would be a psychiatrist can prescribe medication. Okay, वो लोग very generally to put it, for not to get very technical, A psychiatrist would treat your symptoms, जो physical symptoms हैं. अभी suppose you have depression. I'm using depression a lot because it's very common between the population nowadays, globally, not only in India. So डिप्रेशन के सिम्टम्स जब हमको होते हैं, मे बी समटाइम्स यू विल फील फटीग, हम लोग बहुत थक जाते हैं, और मे बी यू विल गेट हेड एक्स, माइग्रेन्स, योर बॉडी विल स्टार्ट एकिंग. ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर लेस नोन फैक्ट्स ऑफ डिप्रेशन. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज सिम्टम्स जब ट्रीट करने होते हैं, you will go to a psychiatrist because they treat symptoms, and eventually once you feel physically better, once you don't feel these symptoms physically, you can go to a psychologist to who basically judges why it has happened, what is the cause of it, how you can solve it, how you can change your habits and routines. So आपका जो cognition rewire करना होता है वो psychologist करता है. So changing the whole perspective is done by a psychologist. The mental processes, but the physical processes, the physical symptoms जो होते हैं, that a psychiatrist does.
ओके. एंड इज देयर एनी टाइप ऑफ कैटेगरी कि बाबा अगर आपको इस टाइप के प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे हो तो आप साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाइए प्रेफरेबली, और साइकियाट्रिस्ट के
हाँ
पास इस तरह के प्रॉब्लम के लिए?
हाँ. So basically we usually work together. हम लोग होते हैं, if you go to a organization or a hospital or something, people usually work in collaboration. But अगर आपके symptoms बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, it's very severe, your physical symptoms are very severe where you are not able to manage your day-to-day activities, आप पहले एक psychiatrist के पास जाओगे because your physical symptoms need to calm down. Because if you have physical symptoms, you will not be able to work on your mental capacity क्योंकि आपका पूरा ध्यान वहीं पे होगा. Right. So you go to a psychiatrist first, and if you have very general problems where maybe career related हुआ, relationship related हुआ, family issues हुए, trauma related हुआ, where there are some things, phobia related, fear related, all of these things that you need to get out, which is basically mentally or thought based, you go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist. And once you go to a psychiatrist and your physical symptoms have calmed down, they send you to a psychologist so that जो कुछ भी आपको उस दौरान हुआ था, that should not cause trauma. Because if you have a lot of physical symptoms, sometimes you mentally get burdened by it. So to remove that burden out and to make you feel better, you go to a psychologist.
ओके. एंड आई टू फील कि कोलैबोरेशन वाज मच नीडेड इन दिस फैक्टर. सो हमने बहुत जगह पे ये भी देखा है कि मेडिकेशंस के भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा साइड इफ़ेक्ट्स होते हैं, ये मिथ घूमता है. तो इज़ इट वेरी ट्रू कि मतलब साइड इफ़ेक्ट्स होते हैं, नहीं होते हैं, या फिर लिमिट में होते हैं जिससे आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो?
So usually, see, even if you take your normal खांसी की दवाई या something, उसके भी side effects होते हैं, है ना? So even for this you do have side effects, but अगर हम लोग कुछ बहुत strong dose में दे रहे हैं, a psychiatrist will always give you a counter for it. So they'll give you a different medication जिसकी वजह से वो symptom ना हो आपको. Sleepiness, feeling drowsy, all of those things come even with your खांसी की दवाई, है ना? That thing is usually going to be there where you will feel a little sleepy and stuff. But the other things, the very severe symptoms, you will always get a counter for it so that it does not happen. And it is not with every medication. It is only when you have extremely severe symptoms कि आपको उस level की dose मिलती है. That severity of dose also you will get it in only if you have like very severe symptoms जहाँ पे आपको hallucinations हो रहे हैं or you're getting psychosis attacks. So all of those things, then you will get such a high dose and you will have to get a counter. But general medications में इतना नहीं होता.
ओके. एंड लाइक काफ़ी ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है ये साइकोलॉजी, या फिर जो मेंटल हेल्थ है वो. तो उस कारण से आई वुड लाइक टू गिव यू 2 मिनट्स और 3 मिनट्स सो यू कुड जस्ट normalize this treatment thing, and if you could talk for 2 minutes over normalization of this treatment, please.
So Tanmay, there is one thing that people need to understand before even talking about treatment is normalizing looking at someone who has a particular disorder. है ना? हम लोग मोस्टली जाते नहीं हैं टू अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट और अ साइकियाट्रिस्ट बिकॉज हम लोग को जैसे लगता है कि if you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, it is only when you are crazy or when you are mad, है ना, जब उस लेवल के सिम्टम्स होते हैं तभी जाने होते हैं, which is not true. I
वेरी
would like to break that myth first, where people come to a psychologist even if you have relationship issues, even if you have problems choosing your career. The field of psychologist would be different, but you need to go. And people need to realize that a lot of times we behave differently, है ना. हम लोग का जब मूड ख़राब होता है तब हम लोग थोड़ा लो हो जाते हैं, या फिर we don't talk much, we isolate. And when this happens, our friends or our family members or someone usually हमको या तो crazy बुलाते हैं, stupid बुलाते हैं, you're so weird, very loosely using these terms without really realizing what that person might be going through. And when we are in that low mood, हम लोग को realize नहीं होता है कि even a stupid or a crazy can have such a deep impact on you, right? So using these words and actually asking कि क्या हुआ है, why are you sad, why are you this, I think that is important first. If you feel okay, these are some things that you can talk it out with your friends, family, very good, do that. But if you feel that it is affecting your life, where you're not getting sleep, you are, even after talking to a lot of people, your friends or something, you're not getting a solution to it. It is manifesting in a very physical way, जहाँ पे आपको headaches हो रहे हैं, या you're getting trembling, you're breathing very fast. All of these things are happening. I think you really need to go to a psychologist. First, go to a psychologist maybe because psychiatrist के पास फिर भी बहुत ज़्यादा you have that stigma, and I would say stigma because it is something that is very looked down upon, है ना. तो just try going to a psychologist, try sharing your problem. If you feel comfortable or if you know someone who is a psychiatrist, do that as well. If you think you don't need medication, then talk to a counselor. Even अगर आप स्कूल में हुए या फिर अगर आप corporates में हुए, you will have psychologists there as well. I think government of India has made it mandatory to have psychologists in colleges and schools, and even some organizations have made it mandatory. So visit all of those people and see what changes come about. You will face, it will not happen overnight, I will tell you that as well. A lot of times हम लोग को बहुत fast results चाहिए होते हैं, which is not possible. You might see a shift in your routine, you might see a shift in your thinking, but seeing a shift in your behavior takes effort, a lot of continuous, I'd say effort to, and routine change, a lot of motivation to get to that process where वो automatically आपको बहुत internally बहुत अच्छा लगने लगता है. So I'd say just start talking about it. Okay, that is when in your family and in your friend circle, now at least this generation, without labeling people as crazy, stupid, weird, why are you behaving this way, having all of these comments, just try talking to someone. That is when the stigma around mental health is going to come out. And even treatment hua, there will be a lot of people, there are a lot of organizations who will give you your first consultation free. So even if you are thinking कि बहुत expensive हो जाएगा, I don't know whether I have such a huge issue, or I don't know whether I need a psychologist. So try to find such institutes where you will get your first consultation to see what you actually need. And
Okay.
also another thing is, you don't need to tell anyone that you're taking therapy. Okay, if you're comfortable enough, extremely good. But one thing about therapy is it is anonymous. Your therapist cannot disclose information even to her co-counselor. Even if I'm working with someone, I cannot discuss your case details to anyone else. So you have to be worry free that मेरा case discuss हो जाएगा, या people are going to know that I'm going to a therapist, people are going to know what I have done, people are going to know why I feel bad. It's not going to happen, because we are under oath that we cannot share client details. वो client therapist का privilege होता है. Just how lawyers can't share details, it's the same with us. So all of those things, even if you get a
Okay.
diagnosis, you get a number where you do not know really what is happening. तो हम लोग का जो DSM है, we cannot do that. And even if we have to share your case with someone else, it's always asked, okay, are you comfortable sharing that I'm sharing this case with another psychologist, taking a second opinion?
Oh,
All of those things, it's always asked. You're always kept in the loop, है ना? तो extremely anonymous हो जाता है. It is you cannot disclose information. So confidentiality is one thing that is there. So being afraid of
okay.
therapy is really not. At least now, people need to be aware that you should not be afraid of seeking help.
Okay. I too feel कि talking more on this topic would reduce the trauma or the taboo feeling. The more we talk, the less it would get. And in India, especially, we need to generalize this. We need to talk more on this topic so that we are not afraid of this. Uh, लेकिन एक ब्रॉडर पिक्चर अगर हम लेते हैं, चलो जिसका जो रेडी है साइकोलॉजिस्ट को ट्रीटमेंट करने के लिए भी, लेकिन पता ही नहीं चलता ना व्हेन वी आर गोइंग थ्रू डिप्रेशन और एनी प्रॉब्लम, वी आर लाइक कि कुछ हो रहा है, लेकिन हाउ डू वी नो कि एट दिस मोमेंट वी नीड टू, अब इससे ज़्यादा कंट्रोल नहीं करना है या फिर रोकना नहीं है खुद की फीलिंग को।
So इस time पे as I said before, you will start experiencing physical symptoms. Okay, and you yourself will know कि आपको accept करना होगा खुद से. Even if 10 different people are telling me one particular thing, if I am not ready to accept it, therapy will not work. Okay, no one can force you to go into therapy. अगर वो forced हुआ, you can take 30 sessions and you will not see a result. So you should sit down and realize that मुझसे I am not able to concentrate. I am not able to think of anything else uh, in a very active way. वो बार बार मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है. No matter how much I'm talking about it with my friends, it's not helping me. I'm getting constant headaches. Usually, when you have depression, anxiety, all of these things, you start getting attacks. So, you have episodes of suddenly feeling very helpless, bursting out, crying. You might get very agitated, you might get shortness of breath, you might start feeling physical symptoms where you might start getting goosebumps, you might start getting body pain, your head might start hurting. Maybe you don't have a history of migraine, and suddenly you're getting a migraine, you're getting back pain, your indigestion हो रहा है. A lot of times people don't realize that your gut health, जो आपके पेट में हो रहा है, your digestion, all of these things are related to your mental health. Your brain and your gut have a very strong connection. So sometimes if आपको indigestion हो रहा है या कुछ हो रहा है, you will feel very irritated as well. And it's the same thing. If you're feeling very irritated, your food does not get digested properly. So it has that connection. So all of these symptoms need to be kept in mind, and a lot of it will happen only when you're aware that these things are actually your symptoms, right? But I'd say that you should not ignore it the minute it gets physical. आपके दिमाग में चल रहा है, but it is physically, you can see it, you can feel it. If your friends or someone are asking you directly कि क्या हुआ है, you're being very quiet. Or if you're isolating a lot, where आप बात नहीं कर रहे हो ठीक से किसी से, you were interested in family events first, or you were interested in traveling maybe, but अभी आपको money नहीं है कुछ करने का. All of these things are very big signs that you should not ignore. And also I'd like to say a lot of self-help content is available online. तो अगर आपको लग रहा है कि there is something wrong and I don't want to go to a psychologist right now, you can take all of these tests that are available, the proper tests, not the tests that all these वो पर उस पे आता है वो सब नहीं. But there are American Psychological Association has tests, British Psychological Association has tests. Our RCI also has some tests that are available जो आप खुद self administer कर सकते हो, and you are able to see rate your symptoms on like a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 7. So आपको खुद को पता चल जाएगा कि where you stand, right? So once you do all of those tests, अगर आपके scores high आ रहे हैं, then just try and speak to someone, speak to a psychologist. If you're in school, college, uh, speak to the person who is over there, speak to your teacher. They'll try to, and then work your way around with a psychologist.
Okay. Surely I will put all the links mentioned by ma'am in the description, so it's easy for you to give the test. मैम जैसे आपने कहा कि कुछ ऐसे भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो फर्स्ट 2 सेशंस या फर्स्ट 1 सेशन फ्री में प्रोवाइड करते हैं। तो कैन यू प्लीज़ नेम दोज़ एंड वुड यू लाइक टू गिव एनी काइंड ऑफ मटीरियल फॉर रीडिंग हू वांट टू नो बेटर इन दिस टॉपिक?
Huh. So even the organization that I work for, we have 7 days free self-help. So that is called Transform Happily. Even Nimhans has their first service, their first consultation free. Uh, there are a lot of institutes actually जो your दोस्त हुआ या फिर mind space हुआ, all of these things they have a particular time frame free, or they have different features that are free in their app or in their website that you can use. And even content to read, you can there is a website called very very well, or well mind, something like that it is. I will share it with you, you can put it in the description. And even Positive Today, that they have different, it's a very
Yeah, I will.
old, हाँ, it's a very old website, उनके बहुत सारे links हैं. And even I try to write a lot, and I share it on my LinkedIn page as well. Even the people who work with me, even we write a lot about different topics related to psychology. So अगर आप लोग को reading अच्छा लगता है, then please start reading all of these things, जहाँ पे आपको एक रियल पिक्चर मिलेगा. जस्ट वॉचिंग मूवीज और वॉचिंग हॉलीवुड बॉलीवुड मूवीज इज नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प, बिकॉज यूजुअली ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर वेरी रोमांटिसाइज्ड, है ना. वो उन लोगों को भी प्रॉफिट चाहिए होता है, दे ऑल्सो नीड एन ओम फैक्टर टू ऑल ऑफ देयर मूवीज. सो इट इज़ not the real picture of how exactly it is supposed to be. So reading content
Mhm.
or even following people who are psychologists, they share a lot of real images of what a disorder is, what lesser known facts about a particular disorder might be, or the challenges you might face that are not normal. It does not have to be a diagnostic criteria. Uh, some things are not disorders, but it can have a very big influence on your mental health. So a lot of people share things like that also. So हम लोग जो mindlessly sometimes Instagram, Facebook और इसमें हम लोग scroll करते रहते हैं, memes देखते रहते हैं, follow 1 or 2 pages that are psychology related as well, so that you get to know what exactly you are facing. कभी कभी we have that thing ना कि हम लोग को we wake up and we have feeling something, but we don't know what we are feeling exactly. We don't know how to label it. है ना. तो you will be able to label some of those things as well once you start reading content.
Okay. Okay. So, taking to one other side, I would like to ask you, considering we all generalize psychologists as who are serving for the community, who are doing service for community at free of cost, or it must be a free thing. So, do you consider it right? Or psychologists are also the humans who need to work, who need to earn. So, what are your takes on it? Is should there be a balance between earning and helping community? Your wish to say on this?
हाँ. So Tanmay, see, even we need to pay bills, right? So
Mhm.
definitely there are free services. I'm not saying that, but work with organizations. So now government organizations. There are some government organizations that might, during some periods, give for some particular community, they give free services, but they pay their therapist. Right. So it is not that if you are not paying us, we are not getting paid. It depends on who is your employee. Now, as a bachelor student, a lot of people do not realize that as if I've completed my bachelor's, I cannot give therapy. I can work under a therapist, but I cannot give therapy. You need to complete your master's and above to start giving therapy in an institute. So, realizing this, that you need to know whom to go to, and usually the more you have studied, people tend to charge more as well because you have invested that much, right? You've invested that much of time, you have invested that much of finances in your education that you would like to recover eventually. Yes, we need to do something for the
Mhm.
society, and we do a lot of campaigns, we do a lot of things. There are a lot of content that goes out. But the minute you need to give extra content, like some problems or some situations need to be helped in a different way, जहाँ पे हम लोग को भी बहुत टाइम लगता है. It is not that we come to a session and we see, मतलब you will wing it. It's not that कि हम लोग आ गए, हम लोग देख लेंगे आप क्या बोल रहे हो, we will reciprocate to that. You need to come to a session prepared. You will have hours of preparation for that 145-minute session. Post that, you will sit and you will assess the case. You will go back to your notes. You are going to see what the problem is. क्योंकि हम लोग के भी दिमाग में, as I said, that people are constantly learning new things. We are constantly learning why the brain works the way it does. So we need to go back and research why that is happening to you. So it is not just that 45 minutes, it is a lot of our time that also goes in. So that is why sometimes therapy can get expensive, but there are a lot of people who try their best to keep it as minimal as possible, and to also give free services at times. If you have any financial issues and everything, it is not that we are going to say नहीं, अगर आपके पास पैसे नहीं हैं तो हम नहीं करेंगे. But uh, again, you cannot constantly say कि पैसे नहीं हैं, and there are a lot of people who do that, who say कि पैसे नहीं हैं, we are not able to do this and we are not able to do that. But you need to understand that हम लोग को भी बहुत effort लगता है, and maybe try
Mhm.
finding the right person as well. Uh, for me, I'll say specifically, when it comes to eating disorders and everything, I do not have experience in eating disorders. So if anyone comes to me, it is my responsibility to tell them that this is not the case, that I do not handle cases like this, and redirect them
Mhm.
कि who is the person I need to go to. Everyone will have different years of experience. If we have lesser years of experience, we will definitely charge lesser because we ourselves know that हमको थोड़ा और सीखने की ज़रूरत है, right? So doing your research in all of these things, you will find a person who handles the same disorders in a lesser cost as well. But just because they are charging lesser
Mhm.
or more does not mean they're going to be any better. So it is usually trial and error, I'd say,
Okay.
कि आपको वो करना पड़ेगा.
Okay. People need to understand this is as well. People
People,
need to understand this is as well a
yeah, it is a
professional.
professional setup, and psychologists are anyways underpaid. हम लोग, because of the stigma and everything, it is not a very big career path. Now it has gotten importance. तो हम लोग, I'd say we are very underpaid in the society. Even if we ask for a particular this, वो लोग हंस देते हैं. Even when I was going through my interviews initially, they used to laugh and they used to say, this is not the age bracket, this is not the market that is going. I mean, this is not how we are supposed to be paying psychologists.
Okay.
But any other profession, who you need to understand that mental work is a lot. अगर आपको, if you're listening to a friend who is talking about their problem, sometimes it gets exhausting for you. Now imagine listening to 10 different people on the same day about their problems, and you having your own problems as well. It gets mentally exhausting.
Mhm.
But people don't realize that कि
Mhm.
इतना कुछ भी होता है. Mental jobs are not given that much of importance as yet.
You got my next question. You got my next question कि प्रोफेशनली अनपेड होते हैं मैक्सिमम जो जितने भी साइकोलॉजिस्ट हम देखते आ रहे हैं बट डू यू सजेस्ट समवन हु इज गोइंग टू और थिंकिंग ऑफ गेटिंग इन bachelor's or master's of psychology, is it a good career path, and what are the things if they are doing means if they have some xyz terms in their mind they should reject this profession, why they should choose and why they should reject psychology as their career path? That's a simple question.
Yeah. So why they should reject, the first thing and the main thing if you are not mentally strong, you should not come into this field because it looks very fancy. अभी बहुत fancy लग रहा है कि आप oh you do therapy, you do this. A lot of people get fascinated by that aspect of it, which is yes, you learn a lot, you see a lot of people's stories, क्या problems होते हैं, you get very acquainted to all of those things, but it is emotionally, mentally very exhausting. And if you are not able to keep it, once you get out of your clinic, once you get out of the hospital, अगर आप उसको वहीं पे रख के घर नहीं जा सकते, it's going to be very difficult for you to survive as a psychologist. It is not possible because you will have a meltdown, you will have a breakdown. Okay, and you will carry it into your relationships as well. अगर आप एक relationship counselor हो and you're listening to 10 every day, you're listening to 10 different relationship problems, and you are going back to your relationship where, and you've listened to like a lot of cheating, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of all of those things, you will tend to internalize it also. So that thing needs to come up where you need to be mentally very strong, where you can keep all of those things. It takes time, it takes effort. Initially आप बहुत, either you're over empathetic, है ना, कि initially I was where I used to get so overwhelmed with some of my clients कि मतलब उनका life इतना difficult होता है, that we sometimes think कि oh, our life is so difficult, our life is so, but you actually see all of these people and you realize what struggles are. And if you are not able to control your emotions and be very objective, you need to have that thing कि what is right is right, what is wrong without having a bias, है ना. और अगर आप emotionally decisions लेने लग गए, it's going to impact the way you give therapy as well. So controlling your emotions is one very important thing. If you're able to control your emotions, if you're able to keep all of those things and give very objective answers, if you are a person who will internalize everything, I don't think that you should be in this field. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि if you watch movies and usually होता है ना, some people they watch movies and they tend to associate that character with you, and वो लोग रो देते हैं और they'll start crying on seeing their problems, they'll start crying seeing them cry. That is one thing that you will have to change if you want to come into this career, because if a client will cry, usually जब emotional release होता है, when a person speaks the truth for the first time, or if they're sharing something for the first time to a therapist, they will start crying and वो लोग बहुत गंदी तरीके से होते हैं. It will be uncontrollable for them. If you are not able to contain yourself at that time, imagine your therapist also crying with you, है ना, तो वो बहुत it will not be a very good thing. So all of these things, impulse control, emotional control, your facial expressions need to be controlled. You cannot suddenly lift your like someone says something very controversial, you can't lift your elbow, you can't eyebrow, or you can't make a very weird face. तो ये सब controlled रहना चाहिए. Where you have a poker face, कि even if you're happy about something you have a poker face, even if you're surprised about something you need to have a poker face. That emotional control needs to be there. So
As soon as you said poker face, I'm imagining how are you guys.
you have to have that, and I think general empathy. Okay, you need to put yourself in their shoes, because sometimes some people you can't spit hard facts. है ना? There are different techniques depending on what technique the therapist thinks that person needs to go through. Most of the people nowadays go through client-centered, where you move according to the pace of your client, है ना, कि मतलब वो लोग जैसा चाहते हैं वैसा जाएगा, जिस पेस पे जाना चाहते हैं वैसा जाएगा. So in that way you need to know, even if आपके दिमाग में आ रहा है कि this is the cause, you need to stop yourself from saying that this is the cause till they realize what the cause is. So that self-control really needs to be there in you, how to direct conversations. So a lot of communication, empathy, all of these things are important. But over empathy, over sensitivity is something, if you are that person, I think you should avoid the field.
Okay. In short, if I could describe it in line, if you have less stronger heart or if you are more emotional, avoid this field. Am I right? Okay. Okay. And like, why one should choose this? If we are talking about rejection, why one must choose psychology as their career path? What
Um,
factors they do see?
I'll take this as a very personal question, because what I have experienced
Okay.
is, uh, for me, I have learned a lot about myself as well. आपको realize नहीं होता है the things that you do or why you do something at times. But if you have psychology as a background, or even I think I'm not even saying choose the career, but psychology should be a part of every curriculum. I feel at least have one subject of psychology so that people know the basics of it, because you really start understanding yourself. You really get in tune with yourself. And this topic has been spoken about so much, and even the government has thought of introducing psychology in every aspect. Because of this, there are a lot of people who face burnouts. Study karte karte, they don't know how to handle themselves. Once you go out in life, you need to realize what
Mhm.
is happening. How do you communicate with people? All of these things are aspects of psychology, your language, your memory. So if imagine all of us know this, all of us have empathy. Imagine everyone in the world has empathy. It's going to be a better place, right? You're going to be able to communicate better with someone else. You're able to tell that person कि ये problem है. Or you're able to tell yourself कि this is the problem and you need to sort things like this. So I think that decision making,
Mhm.
the problem solving, all of those things come in hand. And once you see people, once you help people, it's a very satisfying place to be in. When I have had my previous clients come in and say, "Oh, ma'am, because of you, I'm able to do this." I've had a client who is still in touch with me, who's gone to Canada, who constantly tells me, "Ma'am, I'm able to do this because उस टाइम पे जब पैनिक अटैक्स होते थे, you told me so and so thing." So it feels very fulfilling. It feels like you are giving back to society. And a lot of it comes from, if you are comfortable enough to deal with all of those problems, other people's problems, when you are struck with problems or insecurities, you know how to technically work your way around things as well. So it's not only professionally but even personally it benefits people. I'd say that. And yes, I think
Oh.
I'd also like to include that it's not a very huge career path right now. India is still developing in those aspects where, you will get underpaid. There are some organizations now who have started paying their employees according to how much work they are doing, how much effort they are putting in, which is a very good initiative. But it will take time, and if people come in more and more into psychology, and or at least study some aspect of psychology, do some diploma, do something, even in families it's going to be better. जो families में chaos होता है और sometimes relationships में chaos होता है, वो थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा. Issues will get sorted within yourselves
Okay.
better, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I too firmly believe that psychology could be, I think basics of psychology could be included in our school syllabus or higher studies syllabus, or basics of laws, basics of economics, all professional basic things could be involved in our syllabus. So overall, a student who could be the next generation of our society or who is going to be, he could have an overview or idea of the concept. He won't be ashamed of such topics, and this is much necessity right now. And surely our government would be taking steps further. I hope so. And with this beautiful note, I would like to say we could end this today's podcast. It was wonderful talking with you, ma'am. Quite interesting things to get to know about, and I feel it's a very honored job as well. So all the best for you. And surely we would be posting more videos over this topic. We would be getting more on particular type of problems, on particular type of treatment, and when and where, how should you get connected with a psychologist, and more on that. So For now, we will take your leave, everyone.
Thank you, Tanmay. I had a great time. Thank you.